there, my loves. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. And I super excited and stoked to share another amazing story with you all because I, again, was truly inspired by this story. Grandma Gatewood, her real name, Emma Gatewood, but as she got known along the trail, she got known as Grandma Gatewood. Now, who is Grandma Gatewood, you ask? Well, Miss Mel's going to tell you in our Once Upon a True Story. She lived her dream, her goal, through hard work. Because let me tell you, no goal is ever achieved without hard work, perseverance, and determination. So, my loves, let's read about Grandma Gatewood today. She is an amazing lady. Do you know, in 1955, at the age of 67 years old, Grandma Gatewood traveled the entire Appalachian Trail. What? And she was the first through hiker in history. And what does through hiker mean? I'm going to tell you in hiking terminology. That means she traveled from the start to the finish of the Appalachian Trail all in one trip. She is absolutely amazing. I'll tell you why, because the Appalachian Trail is 2,190 miles long. It takes 5 million steps to complete the whole Appalachian Trail. And the Appalachian Trail follows the trail of the Appalachian Mountains. And the mountains themselves are 480 million years old. What? Do these just blow your mind? This blows my mind. She is such an inspiration. So Miss Nell's going to read you a story about her. And like I said, she traveled this Appalachian Trail as a through hiker from start to finish in one trip. And not only did it once, but a couple of times. What? With very few things in her backpack and with Converse sneakers, and she is a true inspiration, my love. So let's read more. Let's dive in and read more about Grandma Gatewood. And can I tell you also another awesome part of this true story? She was inspired when she went into a doctor's office and read one of Miss Mel's absolutely favorite magazines, National Geographic, and she read an article about the Appalachian Trail and said, "Let's do this." What? She's an amazing lady. Oh my gosh. Let's read more about her, my loves. Grandma Gatewood Hikes the Appalachian Trail by Jennifer Thermes. And this is an amazing story. And thank you for joining us today, my loves. We're going to travel with Grandma Gatewood today from our homes and with Miss Mel. And we're going to learn more about her and her inspirational story. So let's go. Between 11 children, Emma Gatewood had 11 children, bless her heart. The clothes to wash, the cows to milk, the garden to tend, the occasional certain person passing by to feed. One husband, Emma Gatewood, rarely got a break. But sometimes she found a way to escape. A long ramble through the hills behind the farm was all Emma needed to set herself right again. Sometimes all we need is a good walk, a good ramble, as Miss Gatewood said, and we are right as rain. In the spring of 1955, when Miss Emma was 67 years old and her children had all grown up, she left her home in Ohio. What? And set out to walk the Appalachian Trail. Now, does everyone remember Miss Mel saying? The Appalachian Trail is 2,190 miles long. That means to get from start to finish, it takes 5 million steps. What? Now, called the longest footpath in the world, the Appalachian Trail was. The trail stretched along the mountaintops from Georgia to Maine. And Emma had read about it in a magazine, the National Geographic magazine. The magazine said no woman had ever hiked the entire trail before. She was the first woman in history to do that. And it was pretty easy, she thought. Besides, it was what she wanted to do. That's why she felt it was so easy. She wanted to do it, so she did it. It's amazing. I loved to wake up one day and say, I want to do this. Emma didn't tell her family where she was going, but no one worried. After years of hard work on the farm, they knew that Emma could take care of herself. Emma was a do-right woman. She could take care of herself. She took care of so many people all her life. She said, I'm going to do this for me. Now, Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. So in this book, we see a map, and you get to follow a lot of the Appalachian Trail through this map in the book. And as Miss Mel said, the Appalachian Trail is 2,190 miles long. The Appalachian Trail follows the Appalachian Mountains, which are 480 million years old. And it takes 5 million steps to complete the whole trail from start to finish. Emma Gatewood, Grandma Gatewood, as she got to be known on the trail from many a person passing by, she did 12 to 16 miles a day, my loves. What? Blows my mind. You go, Grandma Gatewood. Emma wore canvas sneakers and carried a homemade sack packed lightly, so she didn't have much. She ate berries from the side of the trail and drank from cold mountain springs. She rested under trees and on the top of rocks warmed by a fire. Some nights the sky was so big and dark that Emma was afraid to sleep. Other nights she curled up on a soft bed of leaves with plenty of nice leaves to keep her, and other things and sounds in the forest to keep her company. Emma hoped to avoid meeting a bear, because sometimes some wildlife will come out, of course, in the Appalachian Trail, but she did once and chased him off by hollering as loud as she could. So Emma hollered, and that bear scampered off. Now, the trail ran over hills, across streams, along many a road, and through small towns. At times, the woods felt like a long green tunnel. Sometimes Emma lost her way, but even without a map, she always found it back again, because the trail has markers. And some mountain farmers didn't know what to make of Emma, with her hair like a wild woman after days and nights on the trail, but most gave her supper and a cozy place to sleep, because she did rely on the kindness of many a stranger, and many people along the Appalachian Trail called her Grandma Gatewood because they got to know her and they shared that kindness with her. And she often found the kindest welcome from the poorest of families. And word traveled as she wound her way north, and Emma soon became known as Grandma Gatewood on the Appalachian Trail. So let's follow her on this Appalachian Trail. Virginia and West Virginia. Harper's Ferry, West Virginia is headquarters of the Appalachian Trail and the Appalachian Trail Conservancy. For this reason, it is called the psychological midpoint of the Appalachian Trail. Oh, miss you too, guys. Oh, I'm so glad we get to see each other this way. Oh my goodness. Love you, Aubrey and Gigi. So we get to travel the Appalachian Trail with Grandma Gatewood. And as you see, she traveled through the National Forest. And in this book, it gives dates as when she traveled the Appalachian Trail. Emma scrambled up and down steep hills carved by glaciers, huge pieces of ice that had melted millions of years ago. And the trail wasn't quite as easy as a magazine had said that she'd read in the doctor's office. For some fool reason, they always led you right up over the biggest rock to climb, up the tallest mountain. And they could find, said Emma, the weather turned from brisk and windy to hot and sticky and buggy to soaky, wet and soggy. Some days were rather dull, and other days there was huge storms and hurricanes. And the views went on forever. Gosh, my loves, doesn't this make you want to travel through this book and travel like Emma did through the Appalachian Trail? That's super amazing. Miss Mel has a special treat for you right after story time today, so tune in. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. Now, Pennsylvania is known as the state where boots go to die. Parts of the trails are covered with sharp rocks. They're hard to work. So if you hike and you travel the mountains, you have to wear a good pair of shoes. And when we go hiking or walking, if we're walking on rough terrain, we have to remember we have to wear a good pair of thick-soled shoes. Now, rocks tore the soles of Emma's shoes, so she held them together with tape. She tried wearing a pair of men's leather boots, but they were clunky and big. And you know what? They kind of stopped her up along the way. And Emma chatted with everyone she met along the way. And when the newspapers heard of her big adventures, the reporters met her at almost every stop, and they put it in the newspaper about her traveling this Appalachian Trail. And soon it seems the whole country, the whole counties, they all knew of her amazing Grandma Gatewood story. And Emma answered to the papers when the papers asked, "Why did you want to do this, Emma?" And she answered, "Well, just for the heck of it." I love her. How awesome is she? What? By By late summer, Emma was over halfway done with the trail. And it takes a while to travel this trail. Oh, hi, Ann. You're most welcome. I'm so glad you all tuned in. I'm so glad to hear from everyone today. Oh, my goodness. I'm so excited that you love Emma Gatewood. Absolutely. I love the adult story about Grandma Gatewood as well. It was a Longwood Gardens community read a few years ago, and we have it in our library. It's an amazing adult piece of wonderful nonfiction. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. She had no idea that a huge hurricane was raiding up the East Coast, but did that stop Grandma Gatewood? No way! The writer Herman Melville thought Mount Greylock looked like a great white whale in the wintertime. It inspired his famous novel, Moby Dick. What? And look, we could see some more of the trail that Grandma Gatewood. I love that the author, Jennifer Thermes, she puts all the map here about different parts of the Appalachian Trail. Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont. She traveled all this way. It's amazing. The storm hit hard, rain soaked the land, and rivers washed away homes. Trees cracked in the wind, smashing to the ground. And Emma, she didn't hear news of how much damage had been done since she was deep in the forest. And for her, it was just another day of foul, foul weather. You know what? Which is another cool fact about Grandma Gatewood. She had an actual shower curtain that she took with her that she would put on the ground so that she could lie down on when it was wet or soggy. It was so cool. She thought of all different things that she could pack in her backpack that she could use in so many ways. And she slipped on a ledge and twisted her knee. Oh no, but kept slugging through the wet mud. She was a determined lady, bless her heart. She traveled a rain-swollen stream, but it was flowing too fast and Emma couldn't swim. Emma was really tired. But it didn't stop her. She found a crowded shelter with a group of teenage boys from the city, because along the Appalachian Trail there are little cabins and little rest stop areas in some parts of the Appalachian Trail. And the hut was tiny and damp, but Emma enjoyed their company and loved hearing their stories. What? The next day they carried her across the stream. She was on her way again. And she so much kindness from strangers that helped each other during tough times. That's wonderful to hear. Emma clung to two young men hiking together across the swift, flowing river of the gorge. She traveled a ways with a troop of Boy Scouts, too, because some of the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts travel that trail as well. She was even invited to tea by a note that someone had pinned to a tree. You see that, my loves? Along the Appalachian Trail, some people actually leave cereal bars and different food for different hikers along the way. And they also leave notes of encouragement and kindness. How cool is that? And all along the trail, people helped Emma. But after a while, she was glad to be alone again under the stars with her backpack as her pillow and her blanket. The second fastest on land and wind speed ever was recorded in 1934 on Mount Washington. And at 231 miles per hour, it broke the record books and the anemometer used to measure the wind. What? Now we're in New Hampshire and Maine through our author's map. And as we can see, Grandma Gatewood is traveling all through. And as you can see, you see the different peaks in the mountains and their names as she traveled that trail through those different states. So cool. Yeah. And my loves, let me remind you, you can get this book, Grandma Gatewood, through our Delco libraries. You can get it through curbside pickup. It is awesome. And as Miss Ann Dempsey mentioned, thank you so much, Ann, for mentioning that, you can get the adult version too of Grandma Gatewood's story that Longwood Gardens Community Pick had it as their community read a few years ago. It was a wonderful story. And thank you again, Ann, for sharing that. As Emma traveled farther north, the pine trees smelled like coming winter. She balanced on mountaintops, scared the wind might blow off. She kept walking and walking because she was a determined lady, that Grandma Gatewood, bless her heart. By now, she had almost reached the end of her journey, and Park Ranger ferried her across a wide river. Just one more mountain to climb, Emma said. And then, my loves, there you go. There she's climbing that mountain. Emma wore every piece of clothing she carried, plus a coat someone had left behind on the trail. Thank goodness they left that behind on the trail, because Grandma Gatewood would have been freezing. Her last pair of shoes were tattered. It was bitterly cold. She could barely see through the thick fog, and the eyeglasses she had cracked in a fall. Her knees ached and her ankle was sparked, but Emma climbed and crawled and pulled her way up the mountain top, because, my loves, no goal is ever reached without hard work. She was determined, and she persevered until, at last, she reached the top, the very, very, very tippy top of that mountain. Emma sang a verse as she reached that top of America the Beautiful, and as loud as she could, she had set out as her goal to hike the entire trail by herself, my loves, by herself. And she had set out to hike that entire trail, and she did. And less than 2 years later, she would hike the entire trail from start to finish again by herself. What? Grandma Gatewood is one of my heroes, man. She's amazing. I wanted to see some of the things I had missed the first time, Grandma Gatewood said. So that's why she traveled it again. Her answer was so simple and heartfelt. She missed a lot of things the first time she traveled the trail, so she said, I'm going to hike it again. Just because I want to, I didn't see many things along my way the first time. This gives me a second opportunity. So the second time, she worked hard because she learned from different things the first time she traveled the trail. So she was able to pack and prepare and walk a little bit more around her farm and build up her endurance a little bit more and travel with a lot more things in her backpack that she thought she needed from the things she thought about the first time. Now, if you get this amazing book, Grandma Gatewood, the children's wonderful version, this is an amazing, amazing book. And you can get it, like Miss Mel said, through Delcar Libraries. Check our catalog. You can order it through curbside pickup. It is awesome. And in the book, the author gives different notes about Emma Gatewood. And I really suggest you read these because these are really super cool. It gives you a little more insight into how Grandma Gatewood was inspired and all the different pieces of information about the trail she traveled. And it also, she does wonderful pictures down here of all the different areas of the Appalachian Trail that Grandma and all the different states Grandma Gatewood went through on the Appalachian Trail. So check it out, my loves. And then it gives you the author gives you some other wonderful, wonderful resources of some different reading material based upon Grandma Gatewood. So check it out, my loves. It's such a cool story. Now, guess what Miss Mel and Marple Library have for you right after story time today? Now you can catch the videos, this video along with all the other videos and things we share on our Facebook page any time of day. So if you decide to watch this again, check under our video posts. You can click on it and watch it any time of day, my love. Same with our links. We always have them on Facebook. So after story time today, after I leave you today, we are going to have a post where you get to go on a virtual tour of the Appalachian Trail yourself. What? That is so awesome. Now, Miss Mel's going to do this too. I'm going to check it out more today as well because it is so cool. And we also have, that's going to be our first link and our links we share with you today. We also have, and that's directly after story time, the second virtual tour that we're going to share is a tour of some of the national parks. So right from your home, you get to go and tour some of these national parks virtually. So again, you can go back and look at these links and travel, and please share these links with your teachers and your other family members and your friends through Zoom or virtual. It is awesome, and it might inspire amazing groups of your family and teachers to have a wonderful session that might inspire them for a lesson plan on Grandma Gatewood. So my loves, enjoy the virtual tours we have posted after our story time today. And Miss Mel also wants to remind everybody we also have amazing links in our Facebook video post today. Right up top of our video, we have a few links. We have the virtual tours again. We have an amazing link on a blog on Grandma Gatewood's story and some activities you can do based upon Grandma Gatewood's story. We also have 10 awesome kid-friendly facts about the Appalachian Trail in our link today, and some other links to check out, my loves. So check those out, and check out the virtual links we have today, my loves, right after story time. They're super awesome. Now tomorrow we have, Miss Mel heard it's going to be snow this week, snowy. So we have one of my absolute favorite books tomorrow for story time, and an activity that you're going to love, The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats. That's tomorrow's selection. So it's one of my absolute favorites, a classic, totally cool. And we're going to have some extra special links and activities to share with you tomorrow and Wednesday. Super cool. So stay tuned. And we love hearing from everyone today, my loves. Thank you all for sharing on our Facebook feed today. And awesomeness. And miss you all. Love you all so much. And we'll see you tomorrow, my loves. Have a great day.